Hey, okay. So thank you everyone for joining us. Welcome to Hack and Tell, the show where we talk to members of the Arweave community building new and exciting applications on top of the network. Today, I'm very glad to have Phil with me here from ArDrive. And Phil has just launched the ArDrive beta today and the adoption rewards program. So we're very excited to have you on and hear about where you are with ArDrive, where you're going next and the like.
Thanks, Sam. It's cool to be here. I'm glad I have some time to talk to everyone.
Yeah, so I'm a very happy user of ArDrive. In fact, we found ourselves in a situation where we needed to permanently timestamp some screenshots recently. And it was funny because you just sent me a link to the ArDrive beta a couple of days before, and I thought, oh, wow, this is exactly the tool I need at exactly the moment. So maybe you could take everyone through what ArDrive does and why it's important, and then we can take it from there.
Sure, yeah, and I'm glad that came in handy for you, Sam. I mean, I know we tout that ArDrive is private and secure, but I think being able to timestamp data and make it available publicly is also very important as well. And those are really some of the key things that we're trying to do with ArDrive, right? So we're a community really focused on building the best file sync apps that use Arweave, right? And we want to make sure that anyone around the world, whether they're on their desktop or mobile phone, we want to make sure that they could just easily upload their most important data privately, securely, on the decentralized Arweave network. And of course, can benefit from that censorship resistance that some people really need.
Yeah, censorship resistance is one of those things that it sounds theoretical until you suddenly need it. And then,
right.
Yeah, you're very glad to have it. And I absolutely think that, yeah, the verifiability of the timestamping is a really interesting feature that ArDrive can offer that basically no other file sync on Earth can or will be able to. So it's, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, things can't be deleted, right? Because it's on Arweave. And that, I think, is what really makes us a bit different than a lot of the other apps out there.
Yeah, I was certainly very glad when we had these screenshots and sort of evidence of this stuff. Once it was committed to the Weave and it was public, I felt a little sense of relief that like the information was now out there and it couldn't be taken back by anyone. So yeah, it's a very, very interesting tool. And the user experience, for what it was worth, was great. Particularly given this is a beta, it's surprising how clean it was and how professional. I was very impressed.
Thanks, appreciate that. I mean, the design in general was one of those things that we tried to make really open in front of the community, kind of the whole process of getting that look and feel. Of course, we want to always make it better, right? I think sharing that public drive, that's something that we can make easier for people, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good to hear that it was intuitive for you and you liked how it looked.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so maybe you could take through the rest of the community, like what was your journey with ArDrive? How did you get started? What was the like impetus, the moment that you went from this is just an idea to like, okay, now I'm building, now this is a real thing? And yeah, take us through the journey.
Good question. So, I mean, I've always been kind of a fan and a miner of Arweave. So I guess the idea and the technology behind it, I always saw value in that. I personally have a lot of data that I like to keep, whether it's my pictures, videos, music that I write, old documents from high school, right? That kind of stuff. And I just thought the Arweave network, yeah, it's a great place to store that. I've always had that idea for something like ArDrive or file sync on Arweave. And I know that's kind of a natural thing for people to think, right? If you have this platform to store data forever, make a file sync app on it. I have some experience in enterprise IT when it comes to collaboration systems and file sync systems. I've deployed OneDrive for Business a lot. So it kind of clicked for me, and I guess just this summer with the Open Web Incubator and just 2020 being the year that it's been with the pandemic, I kind of shifted what I thought about my career. And I think the narrative around keeping your data forever and some of the censorship resistance that we've been talking about is something that speaks to me, and it's I think it's a good opportunity for me to really build my own product and hopefully share it with the world.
Yeah,
and we have lots to go. I'm really excited to show everyone where we're at with the beta, as well as kind of some of the community distribution that we're also trying to do with our ArDrive token.
Yeah, please take it away.
Sure. So let me share my screen. Okay. Can you see?
I see a gray slab. There we go. Yes, I can see.
All right. Cool. So let's get started here. We have a bit to go through. Essentially, we're going to cover two things, right? One is our community token distribution, and the second is really the demo of our web app and our command line. We already kind of just talked about the vision for ArDrive, but I think it's just always important to kind of see really the key things that we're trying to do around privacy, security, working with the decentralized Arweave network, ensuring everything is pay as you go, right? No subscription fees or anything like that. And it's really that place where everyone can store their data forever, right? Because it is immutable. So with that, we are a community. Part of that community involves our profit sharing token built on Community XYZ. And what we've really been kind of strategizing around the past few months is how to really get our token in the hands of the community. One of the ways that we thought of was really, I guess, incentivize the testing of our app. So what we're kind of announcing today is really our first ArDrive community token distribution, which I've codenamed Aztec. I don't know if there's any Counter-Strike fans out there, but this is, it's a map from the game. It's a very simple map, lets people, focus on their team skills as well as their own skills. And I thought that was fitting for ArDrive, where we're at now with the beta. And it's really our way of rewarding our earliest adopters for testing our apps and giving us some feedback. So looking at it a bit deeper, what does it really mean, right? What is Aztec? So starting tomorrow, we'll actually do our first distribution. We've been testing it the past week, really of distributing tokens. But essentially, what does that mean? Well, all you have to do is log into the web app or download our command line and start using it. Start uploading data, whether that's real information that's very sensitive to you or just test data. And essentially, what we're doing is we're rewarding the users who have uploaded that data and are trusting our app and going through the user experience. So once a day at 1 p.m. Eastern, we essentially run a script using Astatine, which was developed by the Verdo team. And what that does is it just looks at who's uploaded data for the past 24 hours. It kind of takes the people who have uploaded the most, they get rewarded the most for that 24-hour period. So basically, if you upload something, you're going to get some ArDrive tokens. What we are trying to do is run this for the duration of our beta test. So we're looking to have this end in the beginning of January, January 6th, and that's hopefully a little bit after the release of our first version of our web and desktop apps. But essentially, what is Aztec? Check the app out, upload some data, and you get rewarded with some tokens. So how many tokens, right? We spent a bit of time thinking about a good distribution rate, but essentially, over the next 2 months, we're looking at giving out 3% of our total token supply. Starting on November 6th is kind of the first phase. The second phase is going to start on December 6th. You see here just a simple little kind of graph showing the distribution. Essentially, at the start of the phase, we're going to give out more tokens. As time goes on, the tokens get reduced day by day. So you just kind of see how things go down. We'll start a second phase at the beginning of December, where again, the tokens kind of get ramped up for that first day and then slowly go down to 0. What we're also trying to do, so it's not just about uploading data and testing it that way. For people who are really inclined at helping us a bit more, we're doing our community quality assurance test starting next week. So that's essentially going to be a few hours of work doing some more detailed testing of our web app and CLI. We'll post that on our opportunity board, but essentially people can follow some of the test scripts, record their results, upload them to their ArDrive, and share them back with us. And it's just another way to earn some tokens for helping us get the first version of our app ready. So with that, let's look at our web and command line. Obviously, that's what you guys are going to have to use in order to upload data and participate in our first distribution phase. But essentially, our command line and web app is built with our core ArDrive features. The command line is Node.js. We're still working on the UI, so that's why we only have the command line right now. Obviously, we want that user interface in there. And our web app is built in Dart and Flutter, so it should perform well and have a good look and feel. And I would love to share it with you guys right now. So let's flip out of this. Okay. So first, let me just open an incognito window. Go to app, ArDrive.io. And I'm just going to go through kind of the first login experience. And this is something that we're going to iterate on over the next couple of months. But for now, you do need an Arweave wallet in order to log in. So let me grab a wallet that I have here. We do present the user with some basic information. We've already gotten some really good feedback around how this could be improved. It is a file sync app, and I think everyone is familiar with that. But there are some differences, right, than Dropbox, for example. So we try to highlight that here. So of course, anything you upload, you have to pay for. You pay once, and it's free to read forever. Any private drive that you create is fully encrypted with your own keys. Right, so it's really important that you don't give those keys out, lose them, or anything like that, because if you do, you're not going to be able to decrypt your content. Your public drive is available to anyone on the internet. So if you accidentally post something private to your public drive, there's really nothing you can do about it, unfortunately. So we're trying to make the messaging very clear around what's private and what's public, because you can't delete it, right? It's not an option. I'm sure you can move things to a trash folder, things like that, but there is no delete for things uploaded to ArDrive. A couple other key things to mention. It's not instant either, right? So that was some feedback that we got. When files are uploaded, it takes a few minutes for them to get mined on the network and distributed out to all the nodes. So it's something that I think is important for people to remember, as well as the fact that anyone can kind of get to this data forever. So we just want to make sure that's really clear that the data can live on, even if you don't necessarily want it to. So what I'll do here is I'm just going to hit continue. So now I'll put in my username. This is really not used much for now. Your username is not stored on the network. It's not stored anywhere. It's just really what we use to kind of greet you and say, hey, welcome, Volanarios. But your password, however, this is very important. Your password is going to be used in conjunction with your Arweave wallet's private keys to encrypt all your data. So it's really important that you use a secure password. You write it down, store it in a secure place, or else you would run risk of losing access to that data. So I'm going to put in a good password right here. Make sure I type it in correctly. Everyone loves watching someone type in a password. Okay, so I'm a new user. I have no drives, right? But basically what we're looking at here is our Drive Explorer screen, which is kind of the main view. So in the top left, I'm going to click New. I'm going to click New Drive. So I'm going to make this a private drive, so it's encrypted, and I'm just going to call it my private drive. Okay, I'm going to make another new drive. I'm going to call this, I'm actually going to make this public. So creating drives is essentially submitting a metadata transaction. So much like moving files or folders, creating drives very, very cheap. So you don't have to worry about spending a lot of your Arweave creating those drives. But now in my public drive, I'm actually going to start uploading some data. So let's do this. First, we're going to create some folders. So let's call this one, so this is our public, right? So let's call this folder pics. And then let's make another folder. And let's call this one random. Okay. So now I've created a couple folders. Let's go to pics and let's upload a file. So we really try to drive users to to the top left, to the new panel. Sorry, let's make this a little smaller here. We try to drive users to the new icon or the new button in the top left when it comes to adding shared drives, public drives, uploading files, folders, etc. But I have some sample content prepared. Let's actually upload a picture of my fish tank. So any upload, users have to approve the price first. So this is costing a hundredth of an AR, I guess. I'm gonna hit upload. So we see it getting uploaded. And now here's really where it's getting submitted to the Arweave gateway, and that content is getting distributed throughout the network, kind of in the background, or being mined, so to speak. So we can see it here. We'll notice a few things. So when I click on the file, it gets highlighted. We see some actions in the top right. So of course, I could download the file. I could preview it, which will essentially load the file in the Arweave gateway. I could rename the file. I can move it to another folder if I wanted to. And I can look at the information of the file. So here we're showing that it's public, as well as some of the other details. This is a little bare bones right now, but you figure if we add different tags in the future, whether it's core of Arweave file system or maybe custom tags, for example, we could show that in this right panel. But for now, we're essentially just showing when the file was uploaded and when the file was created. We can also see a placeholder for other activity. So for example, in the future, if we add things like file sharing, you could expect to see that here, as well as changing versions of the file and things like that. Let's go to random. Let's upload another file. Oops. So here I'm just, again, uploading. This is a PDF, just to show that you can upload different public data. Now, if you go to my private drive, here it looks a little similar, right? But there's no World Wide Web icon in the top right. Now you notice that it's private. Something else to mention, that when you're at the root of your drive, it says here drive root, you can click on information and you can see your drive ID as well as the privacy status. Now this is pretty important because the drive ID is what allows you to actually share that drive with other people. So for example, if you have a public drive, you can share that out similar to what Sam had done earlier today, and anyone else can load that private or public drive. Right now, it does actually only work with public drives, but the plan is to introduce shareable private drives as well. Let's actually see what that looks like. So I'm going to go to attach drive. And what I have here is what we've created is the ArDrive official public drive. Official public. So you see what it's done is it's, because I don't have access to write to this drive, it's considered a shared drive, but I can still view it. And essentially what this is kind of our official content that we want to share with everyone. So for example, we have some of our artwork, we have some of the documentation so far that we put together. We have this presentation here, so just to show kind of what it looks like to preview something. So it all kind of previews in that Arweave gateway. But again, this is just a quick way where you can kind of put together sets of content permanently and share it out. So let's go back to my public drive. Well, let's actually add some private files. So we'll create a new folder here. And let's call this one my music. And let's create another new folder. And let's call this one documents. So now this is my private drive. Again, all of this information is fully encrypted, even the metadata. So even though I'm creating folders and whatnot, people can't see that, oh, this is the My Music folder. But I'm just going to go in here and I'm just going to upload a private file. So this is actually some of the music that I've created. So let's just upload a file here, MP3. So you'll notice I'm only uploading files one by one. We don't have multi-file upload available yet. That's definitely one of the features that we plan on adding for the first version, right? Everyone's got more than one file they want to upload. But for now, really the way to upload multiple files at once would be to use the command line, of which we'll see in a second. So let's actually minimize this. And now let's go to our command line. So I guess before I get right into that, just to show a couple things. So first, our command line, you can go to ArDrive app /ArDrive-CLI on GitHub and take a look, right? You do have to have Node.js. It's very, very easy to install. You know, I was not familiar with it at all until a few months ago, but easy to install Windows, Mac, etc. Essentially, once that's done, I'm on Windows, obviously here. So I open up PowerShell. I've created a new folder called ArDrive app. And you can install the CLI by using npm, which is actually part of the Node.js installation. So here I'm going to install the CLI. So there's some warnings. We're still working on some of the features that we depend on. But essentially, it's installing all of our packages, that ArDrive core and ArDrive CLI and all the dependencies. And now, because I installed it globally, I can actually run this anywhere on my workstation. But I'm just going to run it right from here. Cool. Now we have our ArDrive beta opened. So we're going to go through the first user login process now for the CLI. So here I'm going to give my name. We kind of show some of that same information around the security of ArDrive and the permanence and how you should protect your keys. All this would be presented in the desktop UI, but we're just really trying to stress some of the important things that make us a little different than other file sync apps. But like the web, we really start with uploading or using an Arweave wallet. The ArDrive desktop app does let you create a new wallet if you need to create one. You do have to supply it with the Arweave token, of course. But here I do have an existing wallet. Where did I save it? I think it's in demo. That's just demo key. I don't know, my new key. Okay. So because I had already set up my ArDrive in the web, I had already defined a password. I want to make sure I use that same password. So here, let me put that in. And of course, it asks me for it again, just in case you mess it up. Oh, I did. Okay. Now here's where you have to pick your local sync folder. So this is a little different than the web app, right? There's no actual synchronization of all the files. Here I'm just going to do C ArDrive sync. Okay. So what it's going to do is it's first going to check to see if I have any existing private drives. I just created one on the web, so I'm going to just reuse that. Cool. Now it's going to ask me to create a new public drive. So let's call this one. Should have actually found the existing public drive that I created, but I guess it didn't get mined yet. So I'll actually just create a new one just for the sake of this demo. If I do have another public shared drive I would like to add, I could put it here. Just for the sake of showing this, maybe let's actually add the public drive that Sam had just posted. So I'm going to hit yes, and I'll add the drive ID. Oh, cannot be found. Oh, did I have a typo? Okay, I'll have to look into that one just for the sake of this. Let's put in this other one here. Okay, so I have to look into why yours wasn't found, Sam. But so it's doing a few things. So first, and I know it's going by a little quick, but it's essentially queuing up some of the things that I've already uploaded to my private drive. So what we do is we scan the PermaWeb first for any data that you've uploaded. We kind of synchronize all that locally, and then we go through and essentially we download the latest file versions as well as create the latest folders. So right here, let's go and let's open up my Windows Explorer. Because that is, this is the CLI, so the Windows Explorer is, in my case, it's called Windows Explorer. That's the primary way to interact with it. So here I created a folder called ArDrive Sync. We have my public drive 2, my private drive. So now let's actually put some more content in here. So, I didn't have time to upload file by file to the web app. And I have, let's say, a lot of documents I want to put in. So first, I'm just going to drag and drop a few things, some small documents. So essentially, because this folder, my private drive, is being watched by the client, it's going to pick up any changes. So it picks them up immediately and it says, okay, 3 files. Interesting. Okay. It picks up the files, prompts me for how much it's going to cost. I hit yes, and it submits them all to the PermaWeb. Still trying to find the right balance of information to display in the CLI. We are focusing a lot of our time on the user interface. We're trying to display really a lot. So we're seeing the transaction information, we're seeing the drive IDs, really a lot of different things to give you some of the background of your data that's getting uploaded. Let's actually create another folder. And then let's upload some more data. Since this is my private drive, maybe I trust some of my financial information in it. So, it essentially caught the one new folder that I created, so it's prompting me for that. And now it's queuing all of the files that I just placed in it. Essentially, as of right now, every 10 seconds or so, it kind of cycles through and asks the user to take action if they've queued any files. Notice a couple other things. So since it already had submitted some transactions, it's continually checking to see if they've been mined. So for example, you see here, the metadata for the new public drive I created is still pending. It's prompting me again to upload 9 files. Let's hit yes. Okay. So again, it just goes through each one and uploads them. Let's make another folder called videos. And let's actually drag a little bit more content in here. So let's just put it all in right at the root. So here's where we want to work on some of the, I guess, the parallelism of how the app works, right? So even though it's uploading data, and even though it's queuing the latest files I dropped in, it's going to wait for all that data to be uploaded first before it prompts me to upload the next set. So you see here, I put just some other files in. Once I've approved these, I'll show you how we can manipulate them a little bit. And actually, while that's going in, let's refresh. Let's see if they've hit. Nope, not yet. See, and this is, again, part of what we want to convey to the user is that things aren't instant, right? It's a decentralized network, so yeah, you have to wait for the upload to finish, but to get propagated around, it takes a little bit of time. Okay, so you see things are getting finished here. So while that's happening, just to mention something else, since we're focused on really testing the app, we're exposing some of the back-end kind of capabilities, but the one thing that you'll see that's being created is our database. This is based in SQLite, so it's just a single file. This is encrypted at rest, so even though I've added my my Arweave wallet, users can't just, or malicious actors can't just pick up this file and then have access to your wallet. Everything is completely encrypted, much like the data that you upload onto the PermaWeb itself.
And what kind of encryption standard do you?
We're using AES 256 GCM. So, we found that's kind of the best, I think it's symmetric encryption that's out there. And we see that as really being important overall kind of down the line. I know there's concern of encryption standards getting broken. Can something like a quantum proof encryption exist for this kind of data? So we definitely want to pay attention to that, but we do feel that the AES 256 GCM has some longevity to it, and I trust it with my information. Let's just
it's
refresh here.
Definitely a good pick. I'm just curious, if you don't mind me asking, what do you use for the key?
Yeah, good question. So this is part of the Arweave file system that we've defined. Part of that includes the encryption and decryption pattern, but essentially the key is derived from a signature from your Arweave wallet. We combine that with your login password, and that's what we use as the drive key. That drive key, we then take that and then we derive individual file keys. So essentially, let's see if this, it still hasn't been mine yet, but just going back to the desktop, essentially every file in here has its own unique key. And that's important because once we unlock private file sharing, you can give someone access to one file. They'll have that super long key, but you're not exposing the rest of your content, right? Because
that's
once
really
you
cool. Yeah,
share,
that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, exactly. So, because when you do share permanent data, that sharing permission lasts forever. Yep. So, I think we showed most of the features. I mean, I was hoping some of these things would get mined right away. But once the data is in there, you could essentially move it around, rename it. So I could take a couple of my songs here and put them into. There we go. Success. So let's see. There we go. Refresh. So I see some of my music. Didn't get there yet. Okay, but just to show that you can kind of move things around. So let's put this into my music. These are actually documents, so let's move them into my documents. And the important thing is that even though these files are getting moved around, you're not paying for the full price of uploading, right? With the Arweave file system, we separate the data from the metadata. So things like moving, renaming, it's fractions of a penny to do that. And we wanted to really make it easy, in case people did have the wrong name of a file or put it in the wrong spot. Sure, you can't take the data down, but you can at least organize it once it's on the drive. So I think that's kind of it for now. We've showed the web interface. We've showed the command line and kind of some of the messaging that comes along with that. I think the mining time is, goes up and down. Sometimes it's within a couple minutes, sometimes it's a little bit longer. But again, this is the, kind of the first beta test. We invite anyone to check these out, give us the feedback. Whether it's, hey, I just like how it looks, or I've had really specific issues with a certain feature, we want to hear it all. There are some things that are missing, right? So we mentioned that the multi-file upload isn't there. We want to allow users to just drag and drop a file right into the browser. We want to make it easy to view public data, so you don't need an Arweave wallet to log in. And we want to just give people just a quick way to share individual public and private files, right? The only ways to do that right now is to, for example, if I go to pics, go to my tropical fish tank, go to preview. So you have to share the Arweave link in that case. So we want to make it easier for people to do that. For the command line itself, well, of course, it needs a user interface. We're working hard on that. We want to make the Explorer a little bit richer and have some file icon overlays. For both the web and the desktop, any old version of a file, of course, you can restore that. I didn't show that, but you can upload new copies of a file, and it'll, you can still have this secondary versioning. We also want to let people have just files live in the cloud, right? So maybe you want to synchronize just the metadata, but leave the file data up on Arweave. And then, of course, again, making it really easy to share with other people. We started Aztec today. We're trying to make it easy to help everyone who's testing it out. We made a beta testing channel on our Discord. We're going through that whole user onboarding process again and revamping it with more info. We're putting together quick start guides. We're getting an educational video, looking at how we can get a support wiki up in place. So we're really trying to help people use the app, right? Because they understand there's just some differences with the regular kind of sync apps. So, if you guys like what you saw, definitely take it for a test spin, app.ardrive.io. Check us out on Twitter, join our Discord. We have lots of opportunities to help build the apps. We didn't talk about any of those today, but we would love to work with anyone who's passionate about our idea.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Phil.
Thank you, Sam. Let me just give it one more refresh. Let's see. Let's see. Where's my private drive? Come on, documents. Nope. Okay.
That's the way it goes.
You guys will have to test it out. You guys will have to test it out. It's getting submitted.
Yeah, that's okay. Amazing. Thank you so much for showing us. This is like really incredible to see it come together like this. I remember the early versions of this. Now, and JY made a thing called ArDrive separately, right? And then you guys merged at some point. Is that right? How did that go?
Yeah. I mean, it was. I guess I was a little scared at first, right? Because JY he had built the web application, right? And it was kind of his baby, and he put it all together in Flutter and built the Dart package for Arweave, and but he really had a good vision for it. And I think we worked well together, and he's a really smart guy. So luckily we were able to kind of collaborate on this and take it to where it is today.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's amazing to see you guys building a great team as well as a great product. Okay, fantastic. So I guess the question that was on my mind during the presentation was, when can I get this on my Mac, something locally, where I can just like drop files into it quickly?
Yeah, so the command line should work for the Mac now, but we all want that desktop version, right? We all want the nice little activity view. So right now, our release date is looking to be towards the end of December, right? Hopefully before New Year's, definitely before New Year's. And that should coincide with the end of our distribution, which should happen on January 6th. Right? We want people to help us with the beta testing. It's not going to be in beta forever, so the distribution does have to end at some point. But keep your eyes peeled for it.
For sure, that's really very, very cool. Have you got any other thoughts you want to share with the community about, I guess, the process of building this, or ecosystem? Would you share with the ecosystem about building this community? I mean, this is all obviously very new. Profit sharing communities have only been around 2.5 months now, and I think you're one of the first groups to have closed a funding round to back a company building a profit sharing community. So, do you have any thoughts on that you could share with everyone?
Any thoughts on that? I mean, so far, I would say my thought is go with your gut on it, right? Because this is it's very new, the things that we're doing, whether technology or how we're kind of governing these things. And I found that if trying to overthink some things can make it a bit more challenging. And I think the other important thing to keep in mind is we're trying to do this as open and decentralized as possible. So to kind of, as a founder, I guess, it's not, you're not building a business. You're not building something where you have top-down control over everything, right? At least that's not what I'm trying to do. So I think part of that is just letting go and accepting people's opinions and accepting people's skills. And it might not be the exact thing you're looking for, but I think in the end, talking about JY, we came together and we're making something better than I could have thought. So I guess that's helped me. And just use the community, ask questions. Any question I have, I'll ask Cedric, or I'll go to other people on your team, Sam, and get the help right away. I think that's been very, very useful. And just as someone who hasn't developed, I guess, in a very long time, picking up the tools that you guys have put together, like the Arweave JS, for example, and Community JS. I think that has been easy for me, and I recommend people to try to stick with all the tooling, all the patterns as they can, instead of making your own, because that'll only help you down the line.
Yeah, I definitely think that the infrastructure in terms of libraries is really slotting into place now. Like Community JS is an amazing tool that allows you to, at a really high level, interact with something that's actually, I was talking to someone about this a couple of days ago. It's actually kind of incredible when you think about what Community JS is doing in the background. You say like start vote or cast vote or whatever it is, or finalize, like really basic operations. But underneath, that's running on top of SmartWeave JS, which is running on top of Arweave itself. And there's like 5 different layers of abstraction happening now. And it's all just available through like one line of code. And you guys, I think, have really pushed the envelope with this as well, with ARFs.
Yep.
How are we saying this?
ARFs.
ARFs. Yeah, like ARFs is another one of those pieces that is really going to help people, I think, in the future build on top of the infrastructure faster and more complex and interesting applications, while putting the focus on that like higher level rather than the lower level stuff that's happening. So it's really exciting to see that build out. Yeah.
I mean, ARFs in particular is one of the things where we didn't even see that coming, and the potential that can bring of really having a complete open file system built on Arweave that any app can tie into. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about, and hopefully other teams will explore that over the next months.
Yeah, I think the very, very weird and fascinating thing about ARFs is this idea that you might be able to just mount your data from a web application as a drive on your machine. I mean, it sounds bizarre, but it's so cool. It's really fascinating. I think there's just a lot of stuff you could do with that. In the Web3 space, there's all of this talk about essentially undata siloing. Well, the best way you could possibly have of unsiloing data is making it so that you could just mount all the data from the application locally, drag and drop it all, and now you have a copy. It's really incredible.
Yeah, and I know there will probably be some bumps in the road with that notion, but it can be very, very powerful, I think.
Yeah, I think so. It's very, very interesting. Okay, amazing. Well, thanks so much for your time, Phil. Anything else we want to say before we go? I guess one clear thing is like, hey, where can people get involved? Where are the details about the incentive campaign you guys are running? And where should they follow you on social media and the likes?
I just had a slide up that had that, but I'll post all of this in our Discord channel. Again, I guess I could. I'll post it in the Discord channel again. I just set up a new channel for shared public drives, so we want to, kind of post at least our official content through ArDrive itself. We encourage anyone else, if you have a cool drive of stuff you've collected, post it there. But yeah, that's probably the best way to get in touch with us is through our Discord. Okay, makes total sense. Yeah. Amazing. Well, I'm excited to chat with you and the rest of the community there, and I think I have a drive I want to share. So cool. Looking forward to it. All right. Chat to you later, everyone. Thanks so much. All right. Thank you, guys. Bye.